What's happening, everybody, on this Monday, October 20th, 2025? My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. No kings, no difference. I don't know, depending on what side of the political aisle you stand on, 600,000 people, or if you're on the left, a bajillion people gathered all over the country yesterday to protest kings in America. Congratulations, Democrats. We still don't have one. So I guess mission accomplished on your No Kings protest. Look, I haven't seen a king in America in about 250 years. So look, you guys are doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job. Also, hey, George Santos is home. That happened out of nowhere. With President Trump commuting the sentence of former Congressman George Santos. I got to FaceTime with him. He's going to be joining us later in the week on this program. So make sure you guys keep it locked in here for all of that. Obviously, George's been on the show a million times. Happy to have George home despite our little, our differences. Our tiff in the past. Happy to see George home. Also, Bill Maher marks the end of Democrats. I got to say, you guys know I say it on the show all the time. Bill Maher is usually the first Democrat out of the gate with any sort of reasonable bit of common sense. He marks the end of Democrats if Zohran Mamdani and Katie Porter win their elections. And all roads are pointing to the fact that that may happen. Also, hey, we're on like day 21 of the Schumer shutdown. Democrats could, of course, open the government at any time they want, but are choosing not to. Strident. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. How many people... Let me get this live chat up here. How do you all know about Strident? Time out. We're pausing this chat. How the hell do all of you... Did Sean say something about Strident? Hold on a minute. Something's happening here. Something's happening in the Rumble chat that I am unfamiliar with. Did Sean say something? Yes, he did. Apparently, one woman... Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah. So I guess we'll get into what I did this weekend. I was at the Williamson County, Tennessee Turning Point chapter. They had a memorial for Charlie Kirk, and I was actually at the Johnny Cash Ranch. I'll leave the chat up on here, just so you. I gotta go back and watch Sean's show. Apparently they got a complaint. About me. One woman called me strident and unpolished. I gotta be honest with you. I didn't know what the word strident meant when I read it. So for Margaret, I think it was Margaret Miller, I apologize for my stridentness, which apparently means loud and brash. I guess that's pretty much me. Yeah, some woman complained that I was strident, and I unpolishedly strident. Yes, is Sean in the damn... I'm texting him right now. Get in the chat. Let's, Sean, I'm texting him right now. Thanks, buddy. Hold on. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, let's see if Sean jumps in the chat. And now I got some bald guy in my Facebook chat. I gotta be honest with you, you're a buffoon. Thank you, Chris Licht. Why don't you go lick some ass? How does that sound? Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share Michael, I don't know, some lady called me that. So I'm happy that you guys stuck around all day for the strident comment. It was absolutely hilarious. But it was a great time in Williamson County. I want to thank Ashton at the Williamson County Turning Point chapter for having us. Also, we're going to be announcing a nationwide college tour starting over the course of the next couple months once we get past Election Day. There you go, Chris Lecht. You can see the Rumble chat letting you know exactly what's good. Don't apologize for being strident. I don't know. I don't know. That was funny as hell. We had a good laugh about it, but it was great. It was great. We got to we were at the Johnny Cash Ranch in genuinely the middle of nowhere. As I was driving down the dirt road to get there, I genuinely thought I was going to be killed, but it was a really good time. Got to see some old friends, James Owen and Sean. I got to see Brennan. I haven't seen them in a while, so it was good. And then some lady called me strident, which was pretty funny. But let's dive into the news of the day, because there is breaking news at this hour. Apparently, there was a mass shooting that took place at the airport in Atlanta. Here was Fox breaking in with that.
Now, out of Atlanta, our Fox affiliate reports police have stopped a potential mass shooting at the busiest airport in America. Correspondent Madison Scarpina reports. She's live in Atlanta for us. Madison, what's up?
Hey, John. Yeah, we're getting all this information from Fox 5 Atlanta from sources inside the Atlanta Police Department. But we're learning that a convicted felon was allegedly planning to shoot up the Atlanta airport today, the world's busiest airport, armed with an AR-15. And that suspect reportedly did get inside the airport before police quickly stopped him. So here's a live look at Hartsfield-Jackson right now. And here's what we know. Our affiliate source says that this felon did a FaceTime call with family members, allegedly telling them his plans to shoot up the Atlanta airport. Someone reportedly notified police after that call, who then found the suspect's car outside of the airport. It was blocking traffic, but the suspect was not inside. Police reportedly did end up finding the felon inside of the airport. They grabbed him, took him into custody, and authorities reportedly found that AR-15 while searching his car. Our Fox affiliate is also reporting that they had a camera at the airport all morning. It was very busy, and nobody saw anything. So it seems this whole incident was kept pretty quiet, but we're hoping to learn more from APD very soon. There is a press conference scheduled for about 15 minutes from now, but obviously a lot of questions as to how this supposed convicted felon got his hands on that high-powered semi-automatic rifle. And this, of course, all happening during a government shutdown where airports nationwide are struggling to stay staffed. And if you know anything about the Atlanta airport, you know it's always busy regardless, even without that government shutdown. So back out here live, thankfully authorities reportedly did stop a potential horrific situation. But again, hoping to learn more from APD at the top of next hour, John.
Well, so again, Madison, they apprehended him inside the airport, but the weapon was not in his possession. It was still in the car.
That is what Fox 5 Atlanta's sources are telling them right now. The car was outside of the airport blocking traffic. He was not inside there. Thankfully, they did find the guy inside, but what we know right now is that there was not a gun on him inside of the airport. But as you know, during breaking news, things could change, and hopefully we'll learn more soon.
So obviously we'll bring you that press conference if it happens live. A mass shooting stopped at the Atlanta airport. Thank God. Thank God that was stopped. And by the way, actually, shockingly enough, they were talking about airports being understaffed. This might have been the first time in my life that I went to an airport, particularly JFK and LaGuardia, that it wasn't a nightmare. So I'd like to maybe, just maybe, if this is what government shutdowns are like, perhaps we could keep these things going. I flew through TSA. It was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I guess they must have felt I was being a bit strident when I went to the airport, whatever the hell that means. So that is the breaking news of the day. But, of course, we got to talk about the No Kings protest, baby. No Kings. Haven't seen a king in America. Sean says thank you, everyone. Sean says thank you for jumping into the chat with the strident comment. Sean says thank you. So, no Kings over the weekend. Completely pointless. I don't know how many people showed up. Apparently there were locations happening all over the country, even though they claim it was completely organic. I'm not sure how you have an organic protest and 2,700 locations at the same time. That's impossible. As a matter of fact, there's almost nothing in the world less organic than that. But they marched and they had their fists in the air, and there was all sorts of celebrities out there. Pablo Pascal was out there. I know some of you may not know who he is, but he's the guy that we insist on putting in every movie now, even though nobody really likes him. John Bon Jovi was at one in New Jersey because, of course, John Bon Jovi can't leave Saddlebrook or Saddle River, wherever the hell it is he's from. He's not allowed to leave that town, or else he might write a new song for the first time in 25 years. A few other has-beens. The chick from Evanescence. If you're a millennial, you remember her. 2 songs. Great voice. What's the name? Amy Lewis? Amy Lee? She was at them. They popped up all over the country and made no difference whatsoever. Made absolutely no difference whatsoever. We still don't have a king in America, as Mike Johnson very clearly pointed out, because it turns out if Donald Trump were a king, the government would be open right now.
I'm joined now by the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, right here in the studio. Speaker Johnson, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be with you. Thanks.
So let's start with the No Kings rallies. You called these Hate America rallies. What do you mean by that?
Well, that collection of folks that I listed were certainly part of it. We congratulate them on a apparently violent free speech exercise. I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years. We defend that right. But the irony of the message is pretty clear for everyone. If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it. In the last shutdown, 2013 era, President Obama closed the National Mall, it closed all the national parks, didn't allow people to engage in all this. So, I mean, they needed a stunt, they needed a show. Chuck Schumer needs cover right now. He's closed the government down because he needs political cover, and this was a part of it.
It absolutely was a part of it. And look, I'm all about protest. We do it all the time. I love a good protest. I'm actually kind of upset that I wasn't in town because there was one happening across the street from my house about, 200 feet away that I absolutely would have attended had I been home. They keep doing these things when I'm not around. It's really ridiculous. Last time they had one of these, I wasn't there either. Oh, the Jersey, right, winning elections. That's right. Haha. Silly me. No Kings, baby. No Kings protests popped up all over the country. Democratic lawmakers showed up. There's a video out there. I can't find it right now. Cory Booker and Adam Schiff professing their undying love for each other. They attended them. A lot of them did. Some of them became a little bit ridiculous. When I see protests filled with inflatable suits, I can't help but think in my head, why don't we let those people run the country? But instead of the inflatable suit protests, I don't know. I think there's something wrong with us, the people watching this show, because I can't believe that we don't allow these people to run the country.
There ain't no king, ain't no king in the USA. We're rising up. He ain't God. He ain't no fool. No matter what he says. Say the truth. He said he's there. Hell no, he won't. Say not today. Not today. 'Cause there ain't no king. Ain't no king in the USA.
I can't believe we don't let them run the country. I mean, what's wrong with us? Really, I think it's a deficiency on our end that we don't allow the AARP brigade to run the country. Moreover, I just want to congratulate the left in this country, the party of diversity and equity and inclusion, because if you saw the videos from the No Kings protest, they were awfully white. They were awfully white. As a matter of fact, I being the self-prescribed psychologist that I am, I'm not one. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I actually diagnosed the protest as the largest gathering of mentally ill old white people in the history of America. And I want to congratulate them on that because, if it weren't for 68-year-olds coming out and yelling about the end of democracy after they just lost an election by like 3 million votes, I think this country might fall. I really think it might. I really think that America is now a different place, knowing that everyone who was out there protesting, but somewhere between 600,000 and 150 million people, depending on which liberal source you read. They were handing out capsules of Metamucil, but there were people in diapers all over the place. Just old, angry former hippies who, I don't know, probably live in all white neighborhoods. Many of them probably in HOAs. Many of them may not even known why they were there. There was one video of a child stabbing a doll of Donald Trump. I'm sure that kid will grow up completely well adjusted, probably on puberty blockers and Ritalin. I'm sure he'll become totally normal, Totally normal. But hey, guys, at least we don't have a king anymore. At least we don't have a king anymore. Of course, some of the protests did turn violent, LA being one of them. Shocker. It's not like that was going to be a surprise, because the way these things go is when the sun is up, people protest, and then when the sun goes down, the real radicals come out and decide to start throwing things at cops.
Fuck you! Let's show you people!
I mean, why wouldn't it happen? It's LA. I guess we didn't get everybody out. By the way, congratulations, LA. Congratulations, San Francisco, for having the lowest homicide rate in nearly 60 years. I'm sure it has nothing to do with all the illegal immigrants we've been deporting over the course of the last 8 months. That's a real headline, by the way. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that whatsoever. But remember, guys, these protests are all organic. They're just popping up from Facebook posts all over the place. They're not being completely orchestrated by your local Democratic Party like it was here on Long Island, literally promoted by the Suffolk County Democratic Committee. Literally promoted by that. And yet still they can only get like 250 people at Babylon Town Hall. Adorable. By the way, I just want to thank Newsday. I want to give Newsday a big old thank you. A big old thank you to Newsday. Let's put this one up on the screen. Let's see here. Do we have it? Yeah, let me pull this up real quick. Newsday, our local paper, decided they were going to write an article. Let's see. Bing, bing, bing. There it is. There we go. Thousands protested more than a dozen locations from Port Washington to East Hampton to denounce what they view as an increasingly authoritarian government. I then comment, 5,000 people show up to a Charlie Kirk memorial on 40 hours' notice without billionaire banking, and no Newsday is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Guys, I can't imagine why nobody reads your paper anymore. I can't imagine it. Color me confused. Because it turns out, if I had thousands of corporate donors, I could probably throw rallies all over the country too. If I was sponsored by, George Soros' Open Society Foundation, I could probably do that too.
There are still some people on the left, they don't have any other arguments. That's why they're governed by polls. It's why AOC and Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, they won't do interviews with anything other than an entirely friendly audience because their ideas don't stand up to scrutiny. Now, we know what it was not. What is No Kings? Well, it was organized, managed by Indivisible, right? That's an organization. To be clear.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty dividing.
That Indivisible is an organization, received about $3 million at least from Soros's Open Societies Foundation.
Uh-huh.
Some other sources for Indivisible, who, by the way, often claim to be nonpartisan, Democracy Forward, Democratic Socialists of America, Human Rights Campaign, which, funny enough, they never actually advocate for serious, more slaves on earth than ever. No word on that. Planned Parenthood.
I heard they were in trouble. I heard they were in financial trouble. They got money to donate now?
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to feel bad for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to be throwing a fit because abortions are going away.
No, but they have money to get some people on the street, and they clock out at exactly 1 o'clock, just to be clear.
Is that what those dings were when we were circling those buildings? Were those temporary abortion sites in
They
Boston?
could be. They could be.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
No,
that's
was
kind of cool, actually. That's very metal.
The DNC convention. So,
And by the way, you can check out, I do recommend Data Republican, who's been on this show. Data Republican has a thread on X that gives us a breakdown as to the funding, and also, by the way, helps fact check that the picture was from this sort of round of protests. But I will say, it's the big thing. I remember being on Joe Rogan's show a long time ago and him saying, well, you know, the pussy at the Women's March, it still was like the biggest event ever. And his guy, Jamie, argued with me. I was like, well, come on, this is AstroTurfed.
Yeah.
It still worked back then where it tricked Joe Rogan, and I believe it still tricks his producer, Jamie. I tried to make the case like, well, I was there. I was there on the ground. A lot of these people didn't even know what they were doing there.
Shout out to Steven Crowder and the boys over at Louder with Crowder for all of that. Yeah, it turns out it was completely organic, except for the billionaire backing. No big deal. No big deal. Man, what are you going to do? Look, if the Open Society Foundation wants to throw money at things, feel free to do it. Feel free to do it. I guess that's your right. You know, until we overturn Citizens United, which is never going to happen. As a matter of fact, billionaires are probably going to have a bigger impact on politics moving into the 2028 election. Matter of fact, I've got a member of Congress calling me right now on the phone. Look at that. Look at that. I'll call him back a little bit later. But look, guys, totally organic protests. And we all sat back and we all laughed about it. We all laughed because we knew that deep down inside it was going to have absolutely no difference whatsoever as we enter day 19 of the Schumer shutdown. Are we on day 19 or are we on day 20? I'm not really sure. Here's what I do know. I do know that every single one of you has an election coming up somewhere in your local area. That's what I know. I know that every single one of you has an election coming up in your local area, particularly if you are in the state of New Jersey or you are in the state of Wisconsin. The state of Virginia. You guys have elections coming up. Make sure you guys get out, vote, giddy up, let's go. That is, let's see, I'm trying to pull up some of the polling right now because polling out of New Jersey and Virginia are starting to look good for the Republican candidates. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see a lot more polling coming out, but they are certainly tightening the race. They are certainly tightening the race left ways and sideways. And why are they doing that? Well, because it turns out that the world is starting to realize that the Democrat Party may be in a bit of trouble. Because it turns out, with all likelihood, it seems as though Zoran Mondani is going to win the New York City mayor race, which absolutely kills me. But we shall see what effect that has afterwards. If Zoran wins, if Katie Porter wins, does it spell the end of the Democrats? Bill Maher thinks so.
Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two pillars? If we don't, where are the Democrats going with this? If Mondani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that party. Could be quite fun.
No. There is a challenge, right? Kids don't like capitalism. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media. The clickbait, right? Rage bait works better in social media and gets more people's attention. And if Mondani is out there saying, you're getting free housing, you're getting free transportation, you're getting cheaper groceries, of course, that's what they need, particularly in New York, and that's what they're going to respond positively to.
Is there any way that can work?
No. No, of course not.
No. Look, we have a financial literacy problem in America. But the financial literacy problem in America is affecting the politics in America, which is that if you don't understand that if you actually decide that you think rent stabilization is going to somehow increase the supply of apartments and homes in the country, you've got it completely backwards. Because what happens is the developers say, well, if they're going to stabilize the rent in this town, we don't really want to be developing in this town, in which case there's not going to be enough supply, in which case it's going to cost more to rent your apartment. That's just the way it is.
Now, I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. if you're going to talk about the economic illiteracy in the country, that is true, Andrew Ross Sorkin. That is absolutely true. Maybe if you want things like that to get better, you shouldn't have on, Bill Maher, a guy who literally wrote the show called Billions and the guy who owned the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe if you want to talk about how well capitalism is working, maybe you should have regular people talking to regular people, not the guy who bought broadcast.com and accidentally became a billionaire. Maybe you shouldn't have the guy on the show who hosts CNBC's financial show in the morning. You know, the people who see $3 on one side of the table, move it to the other side of the table, and take $1 for themselves. Maybe you shouldn't have them on to discuss the financial illiteracy problem here in America. And of course, they're not wrong. They are not wrong that we are completely financially illiterate in this country. We have no concept as young people of compound interest or how any of that works. The idea of saving the buy now, pay later economy that is killing every single young American. You know what might help? And I'm going to roll the dice here. I know that I am just a right-wing radical, and I wear that with a badge of honor. But you know what might help the housing crisis? If we stopped importing millions of people from the third world. I don't know. Just a nugget. See, Andrew Ross Sorkin there wants to talk about the fact that rent stabilization is going to stop people from developing. And then we're not going to have the supply we need of the housing. You know what else is going to stop the supply of the housing? If you import everyone from an island. It turns out your country sucking is not reason enough for you to come to America. And thankfully, President Trump has actually put a stop to this. However, a lot of people think that the floodgates were open for too long. We shall see. We shall see. I don't believe so, and I still think that we can get this bad boy back. But look, if Zoran Mandami, apparently somebody yelled at me the other day because I keep saying his name wrong, and that offended them. I just want to be clear. The reason why I keep saying his name wrong is because I don't care enough to learn how to say it properly because he's a communist, and I don't want him in my city. I don't want him in my city. I just don't. I don't care to learn his name. He's going to kill the financial capital of the world. And look, I gave everybody a solution. I gave everybody a solution on how to stop him, and nobody wanted to listen. No. They all knew better. So you know what? What the hell are you going to do? Will we now have to sacrifice California and that fat-ass Katie Porter, who apparently... she's not, I only call her that because she's not nice. She's not like a nice person. You know? She's mean. So I think we could be mean back to her. You can tell how people are by the way they treat their staff, and she treats her staff absolutely awfully. So, you know. Marie Gruick, everyone will move out of New York. Yes, they will, and unfortunately they will move out here. They will move out here. Which is why we've got to do everything we can do to preserve the communities in which we live. I'm talking to everybody from upstate New York because I want to be clear. And you can mark this one down. Bookmark this. This is the part of the show I want you to clip. If Jack Ciattarelli wins in New Jersey and Zoran Mandani wins in New York City, mark it down right now, 2027. We're swearing in Governor Elise Stefanik. Bing, bang, boom. I can promise you that. Momentum is on our side. They said it couldn't be done in Pennsylvania. We are on the cusp of doing it in New Jersey. We are next, New York. So get ready, saddle up, let's go, because we got big plans for 2026. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. And you know what? I'm up for the challenge. Because apparently I'm a little strident. But we'll get to more of that in 1 second. Before we do that, all glory bang.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys organizing 27,000 or 2,700, whatever the hell it was, organic grassroots campaigns is difficult. But do you know what's not difficult? Switching banks over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com, guys. Finally, a bank that supports your values. Head on over to oldglorybank.com and consider opening up a CD with them today. Lock in those interest rates before Jerome Powell gets fired or wakes up and starts lowering interest rates, and then we see a stock market. Boom. Like we've never seen before. Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. So, in addition to No Kings, in addition to the No Kings protest over the weekend, I got to do something that I didn't think I was going to be able to do for a pretty long time, and I got to tell you, I was pretty excited about it. And, of course, that was FaceTiming with my buddy George Santos, who was freed from, or commuted, whatever, however the hell you want to say it. I got to FaceTime with my buddy George Santos on Sunday as President Trump commuted his 7-year sentence, which was ridiculous, which was absolutely preposterous. Look at this. By the way, look at this stupid face I'm making there. I guess that's the face you make. And although also, George, I got to say, brother, the teeth they still look phenomenal. He looks great. He looks absolutely great. Had to make sure I shared that with you because I know George is going to hate that photo so much. But he's going to be joining us later in the week to talk about his time in lockup, what it was like, what he's going to do now that he's out. I think I'm just going to leave this photo up for the rest of the show because I think George hated it. So, what the hell? What the hell? I'll leave it up real quick. First thing I did in a Nashville hotel room was FaceTime this goofy son of a bitch. But yes, Donald Trump commuted George Santos. It seems like he just woke up in the morning and was like, boom, there you go. Former Congressman George Santos was released early on Friday after serving just a few months of his 7-year sentence after being issued a full commutation by President Trump. The former representative had gone to prison for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Trump announced the commutation, saying that George Santos was somewhat of a rogue. But there are many rogues throughout our country, and they aren't forced to serve 7 years. The statement that President Trump put out was absolutely hilarious. George Santos was somewhat of a rogue, but there are many rogues throughout the country, and they aren't forced to serve 7 years in prison. I started to think about George when the subject of Democrat Senator Richard Da Nang Dick Blumenthal came up again. As everyone remembers, Da Nang stated for almost 20 years that he was a proud Vietnam veteran, having endured the worst war, watching the wounded and dead as he raced up the hills and down the valleys, blood streaming from his face. He was a great hero who would leak to anyone and all who would listen. And then it happened. We found out that old Da Nang Dick was a complete fraud. He never went to Vietnam. He never saw Vietnam, never experienced the battles there, or anywhere else. His war hero status, even minimal service in the military, was completely made up, which is far worse than what George Santos did. Now, all right, you can say that's worse, you could say that it's better. However, now, I want to be clear. George, still a convicted felon. I'm not sure how it's going to work with the restitution and everything, and I believe he should have to pay back everything he took. Absolutely. With that being said, 7 years in prison is absolutely insane. That sentence was absolutely bullshit. It was insane. And I'm sure there are people watching this who do not like George. That's okay. 7 years was preposterous. Okay? Meanwhile, you've got members of Congress who quite literally start wars to bolster their stock portfolio. So don't tell me that George Santos is the worst person in Congress. Okay? I'm not saying he's perfect, and I'm not saying he didn't commit crimes. What I'm saying is that not even skip the insider trading. That's not even the point of this. I'm talking about 1 million dead Ukrainians so that Nancy Pelosi's Raytheon stock can go up. Okay? So save me your moral ambiguity. I'm talking about... I almost just said something there that only one person watching this would understand and would have gotten very mad at me about. Oh, perfect. Okay, here's an example. How about this? How about like a local legislator named Rob Trotta who uses insider proprietary information to find out about houses that are about to be foreclosed on so he can buy them up and rent them out to illegal migrants. How about that? I have a much bigger problem with that than what George did. Now, nobody cares about Rob Trotta for some odd reason because Rob Trotta's the biggest piece of shit on planet Earth, and he'll never see this because he has all my accounts blocked, even though that's illegal. But Rob Trotta's a criminal, so it doesn't really matter. Come at me, Rob. You're a bitch. For anyone who doesn't live on Long Island, you have no idea what just happened there. It's okay. I'm talking about a penis with glasses that likes to run his mouth on Facebook. Former legislator, soon to be, so I got to get all my digs in now before he's out of office. Rob Trotta's an asshole. But, moving on. Don't show me your moral superiority when it comes to George Santos if you're willing to look the other way on the oogles and oogles and oogles of other corruption happening within our government, okay? You can either be pissed off at one or you can be pissed off at them all. And I've said them many times. George, he was convicted. 7 years is bullshit. That's a bullshit sentence. And spare me anyone that wants to try to justify it. Is 84 days too short? Maybe. But you know what? The president has plenipotentiary power over the pardon. So, whatever. I'm happy that George is free. Oh, Marie Gruick, you know Rob Trotta. Let him know what I said. Show him the clip. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button because we do have more news coming throughout the day. Hey, it turns out some guy was arrested in North Carolina for shooting at a Trump supporter. Go figure. Both sides. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Well, it's that time of year again, isn't it? My favorite time of year. Fall. Oh, I love the leaves. I love the autumn smell. I love the pumpkins. I love it all. Right before the snow flies. But what I don't love that comes with the cold weather and the fall weather is the flu, are the sniffles, the cold, all those common cold sniffles that you get every year. And if you have kids in the house, little kids going to and fro school, and they're coming back and they're touching everything and they're bringing the bacteria and all those viruses home from school, you don't want anything to do with that. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. That's why we're going to talk about propolis today. You know what propolis is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, propolis is what works as a barrier to keep the beehive absolutely safe. And what am I talking about? Well, Beekeepers Naturals. Now, my wife really turned me on to this. This is an endorsement of my wife and then myself as well. Beekeepers Naturals, folks, that is exactly what this is. This is a proactive rather than a reactive, all natural, all clean alternative to big food and big pharma. You've got your Beekeepers vitamin C packs, which are perfect for on the go, right? You've got your Beekeepers Propolis nasal spray. A few shots up the nose, clears out your nostrils, cleans any congestion that you have, and it's all natural, and it's going to work as a proactive barrier to any of that unwanted bacteria getting in. How about the Beekeepers All Natural Propolis Immune Throat Spray? 3 or 4 pumps of that a day, and anything that you're breathing in is going to be either repelled or killed right away. That's the amazing thing about propolis, and that is the amazing thing about Beekeepers Naturals. And I got a 20% discount for you. What's better than that? 20% discount. Look, you can even get the throat soothing pops and the kids' prebiotic fiber pops, along with the throat spray, along with the nasal spray, along with the vitamin C packs. Folks, they've got it all, and it's an all-natural, clean, beautiful option for you to have in order to, get away from the big food get away from the big pharma and go more natural, especially with a 20% discount. How can you not go to Beekeepers Naturals today /LFA and get your 20% discount? Clean out your medicine cabinet today with beekeepers.com /LFA. And now back to the show.
So, Judge Jeanine just got finished up giving a press conference where she gave an update on the vicious attack of our favorite Doge employee. Of course, that would be Big Balls. Big Balls, the attack that led President Trump to deploy the National Guard to the ever less dangerous area of Washington, D.C. Here's Judge Jeanine.
It now? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. I told you I don't hear. All right. I want to thank you all for being here today. Today we're going to announce the names of 2 individuals who are being charged with a series of assaults and attempted carjacking in a highly publicized case where 2 young men were brutally assaulted and stomped, highlighting the need for accountability among young offenders in the district. This case underscores the escalating challenges that we face in confronting crime in Washington, D.C. On August 3rd of 2025, at about 2:53 a.m. Sunday morning, at the U Street corridor and 14th Street, which is a very popular hangout, a nightlife area, essentially, Ethan Levine, a 22-year-old, and several of his friends were standing outside a Sunoco gas station. They were approached by a large group of teens, individuals who confronted them and began to assault them. Today, we are announcing that Lawrence Cotton Powell, who is 19 years of age, along with Anthony Taylor, who is 18 years of age, are now charged with assaulting Levine. Cotton Powell was stomping on Levine's head, as you can see in this poster to my left. Levine was able to get up momentarily, but the crowd chased him and got him down again. They continued to attack Levine while he was on the ground, and then proceeded to rob him of his sneakers and his watch. The group then, after the robbery and assault of Ethan Levine, they walked in the direction of where another crime occurred within minutes. You have heard of this crime. Edward Korestein, a 19-year-old Doge person who was working in the administration, was walking a young woman to her car when he was approached in the 1400 block of Swan Street Northwest. Approximately 10 suspects approached him, and as they did, he pushed the young woman into the car. And he was protecting her from the group before he was then attacked by multiple suspects, who then punched him repeatedly, causing significant injuries to him. They got him on the ground, and as they were doing so, they demanded the car from the woman who was inside the car and had already locked the car. They were banging on the car. They were pulling the car door, trying to get the car open, and were telling the woman in the car to hand over the keys. So
Judge Jeanine announces an arrest in the assault of Big Balls. Now, obviously, this is just one assault of many that go on in Washington, D.C. The only thing that makes this one different is that it was a federal employee, and it gives me the ability to use the phrase big balls as often as humanly possible. And look, there's no rhyme or reason why some crimes end up getting more national attention than others, and perhaps some should get more national attention than others. But it turns out when you jump a guy in the middle of the night, you should make sure he's not a Doge employee first. And then there won't be, citywide manhunts for you. Or just don't be an animal and carjack a woman at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just don't do that. I mean, it's not really all that challenging. But, there are some people out there that feel if they like your shoes, they can just take them. I'm not saying what kind of a person would do that. I'm just saying that some people think that sort of behavior is appropriate. I can't tell where they learn it from. Probably from their fathers who aren't around. Just going to roll the dice there. Just gonna, just gonna roll the dice. Roll the dice. Guys, we'll be back in 1 minute before we do that because we got to make fun. We haven't made fun of CNN in like 3 days, and we have to now because it turns out now CNN is on the side of Venezuela. Wild. Before that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. So, over the weekend, President Trump decided to shoot another random boat leaving Venezuela with a whole bunch of drugs on it. I'm a huge fan of this. I really like it. I genuinely do. Many people are saying that President Trump is getting ready for a regime change war in Venezuela. I don't really see the evidence of that. What I see is President Trump doing something correct that the rest of our presidents haven't done before. And of course, that is attacking the war on drugs, but not attacking users. Not attacking the small-time dealers on the side of the road. Attacking the people who are smuggling the drugs into the country. Now, look, I have been an advocate for a very, 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 very long time that the war on drugs in this country have been a complete and utter failure. If you want to end the war on drugs, just find people like Richard Sackler and throw them off of a building. But look, we make enough pilled heroin in this country to kill plenty of Americans to begin with, but, we get due process in this country, so Richard Sackler gets to sit through like a 10-year process before we're not going to hang him, but, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Hanging wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but if you're a Venezuelan smuggler trying to get drugs out of Venezuela into another country, just assume that you're going to be blown out of the water by a U.S. drone. But now you can do something else. In addition to knowing that you're going to be blown out of the water like you're playing a game of Battleship, in addition to that, you know that CNN will defend you. Why? Because CNN must do the opposite of whatever Donald Trump is doing. They must do the opposite. Donald Trump says don't drink piss. CNN has got their mouth open at the urinal. Here is CNN defending Venezuela now.
I think Venezuela is a different kind of country. It's not really a real country. It's a narco-terrorist state. In his first term, he unleashed economic sanctions on them. We put a bounty on Maduro. We did all the things short of going to war with Venezuela to stop them from importing drugs into the United States. It did not work. They have continued to be a narco-terrorist state. They continue to flood drugs into the United States and dangerous people. And so one of the things about the America First movement and the MAGA movement is in Middle America, they believe our government has not taken a hard enough line against people who have put deadly drugs into this country. They promised this. And honestly, I think he's going to have a lot of political support for stopping these narco-terrorists.
That should be what Trump says, not blaming it on drug trafficking, which is a relatively minor issue compared to drug trafficking that comes from Mexico.
Well, how much do you want to accept? I think you're downplaying.
I know, it's not a how much do you want to accept.
I think you're downplaying.
Where is the problem coming from? And it's coming from Mexico.
I think you're downplaying what they do in Venezuela, A. B.
I'm not downplaying it. It's just factually less significant than what is happening in Mexico.
B. I would support military strikes on drug operations in Mexico, to be honest with you, and I think a lot of Americans would as well.
My bigger point, Scott, is that this doesn't seem to really be about the drugs. I think it's about Maduro. And if it's about Maduro, don't you think Americans ought to
they're one and the same. He is a drug lord.
Don't you think
he sounds just like a globist.
What are we going to do with those guys that we captured? What laws apply to them? Where are they going?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know, and I'm not sure that I care all that much. I'll tell you something else about Venezuela. There's an opposition party there. There are people that could probably take over Venezuela and not be a major narco-terrorist state. So
they probably would have to take to the streets and protest.
They're in our own. They're in our own. I wouldn't if I were them with Maduro in charge.
That's what
they're
we
in
say
our own
here.
hemisphere.
Yeah,
They're sending drugs.
Sounds like you're making a globalist argument, Scott.
Well, I mean,
we know that there are.
I have a globalist argument. Okay, so you know what? So let's not be globalists, okay? Because we don't like the globalists. So what should we do? Let's just let them flood the country with drugs. And for Abby Phillip, you know, the oppressed woman who went to Harvard and has a late night talk show on the oldest news network in America. Remember, she's oppressed. She's oppressed by the evil white man. Harvard owned talk show on a major network, oppressed. But let's remember, it's not as bad as Mexico. So does that mean we shouldn't take care of it? And by the way, I am not a regime change person, and I am not a war person. I am not pro-war. I'm not some kind of a neocon. But if they want to blow up the fentanyl factories in Mexico, this is the face of a guy who doesn't give a shit. Ba-boom! You want to blow something up that bad? Blow that up instead of blowing up third world villages so John Bolton can finally get an erection. Like, blow up the fentanyl. No problem there. No problem whatsoever. And it seems like everything in this administration is a little bit different. They're taking what was done in the past and they're just doing it slightly better. Whether it's the war on drugs, whether it's the government shutdown, whether it's immigration, and the polls are starting to show it. Here's Harry Enton from CNN saying just as much.
That's exactly right. Turns out shutdowns are different the second time around when it comes to Donald Trump. Take a look here. You know, we speak about Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating. We're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay. What about the question of blame? Okay, you see here, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans blame Trump a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown. So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
And he's doing things differently during this shutdown.
Yes, exactly right. You know, we talk about Donald Trump and you say, okay, he wants to be a consequential, influential president. Well, if the legislative process is basically freezed up, you know, on Capitol Hill, you may say, well, then he can't actually get legislation through. But that's not how Trump is governing in this term. We've spoken about this over and over and over again. He's using his pen. He's using executive orders. Trump executive orders at this point of presidency. In 2017, it was just 50. Look at this. Already 210 executive orders signed by Donald Trump during this presidency. That is the most in a year. You have to go all the way back since Franklin Delano Roosevelt to find a president who signed more executive orders in a year than Donald Trump has already signed this time around. And remember, John Berman, we still have 2 months to go in this year, so it wouldn't be surprising to me if he signs even more.
Yeah, it seems to be saying, Congress, you don't want to do something?
I'll do it.
So it turns out, America, are you getting what you voted for? Because I'm getting exactly what I voted for. Matter of fact, I'm getting exactly what I'm getting everything I voted for. Every day I wake up and I think to myself, did I vote for this? And I'm like, yeah, I did vote for this. I want more of it. Giddy up. Let's go. That's what I want. I want to see Venezuelan drug shipment boats blown out of the water. And I have to imagine, I'm just like thinking that like Donald Trump is like sitting in the Situation Room with like a PlayStation controller. Watch this. Boom. I know that's probably not happening, but that's just what I assume is happening, and I really like it. Watch this. Hold on, do I have a controller? I can't reach. I'll get the controller, but later. We'll do it later. I have an Xbox controller up there. I just assume that that's how he's blowing up these ships. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, wait a minute. I want more of it. Guys, do me a favor. We got a couple minutes left. In the show. Before we end today, do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. You guys can check out the 250 merchandise. Plenty of that good stuff there. Celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, baby. Oh, yeah. All the good stuff there. Or if you are like me and you wake up every single day thinking to yourself, did I vote for this? Did I vote for this? Why isn't that coming up, damn it? Well, there it is. You guys can pick up the I voted for this t-shirt over at loudmajorityusa.com, and you can use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. Before we wrap this weekend, guys, I will be in the Garden State of New Jersey helping out, getting Jack Ciattarelli elected. Giddy up, let's go, because it is all about elections here. Number one on this show is activism. Number two is commentary. So, guys, get involved in your local races. Find a candidate that you like that is running and go help them out. I can promise you right now, there is a candidate out there looking for you to volunteer, looking for you to get involved. And if you can't find one, let me know. Let me know. And I will find you that candidate. I can guarantee you guys that. Guys, we are going to wrap up. Strident. That is the word of the week. Strident. Apparently I scare people. Apparently I scare people in Williamson County, Tennessee. So, what the hell are you going to do? What are you going to do? Guys, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Hannah Faulkner coming up next, right here on LFA TV. If you're watching somewhere else, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, guys. Stay loud.